Hello and welcome to the ProtoBalls Talk Podcast. I'm ProtoMet.
This is my recycled balls.
And today we're going to be covering Mobile Suit Gundam: The Origin 2, Artesia's Sorrow.
That's a long title.
Well, yeah.
Then again, we did have the ultimate Mobile Suit Gundam 2, Soldiers of Sorrow. It's like Jesus.
And let's
or the Zeta one.
Mobile Suit Gundam, or Mobile Suit Zeta Gundam, a new translation, Errors to the Stars.
Fuck that name. This one is much more simplified.
Yeah, we can just call it The Origin 2, Artesia's Sorrow.
Or just Artesia's Sorrow to make it.
Or that, yeah. Not like we're going to be referring to the movie by name all the time, but if you missed the first entry in...
Here's a recap. Here's a quick recap. People died, stuff happened, and now Char and Artesia are on Earth. Not on Earth. Not on Earth.
Not Artesia, or not Char. Who the hell is Char? Right now...
I mean,
the movie starts with us learning that Casval and Artesia are now living on Earth.
Semantics, man!
It's important for the plot, okay? They're living on Earth in Spain under the protection of a local businessman by the name of Tibolo Mas. And
shit has gone down on Earth that makes today look like paradise.
Yeah, the whole environmental situation is really not that good, and
so you know how Earth people right now are like, oh, the Earth's dying. Well, this is the aftermath of the whole Earth is dying situation.
Yeah, well, not quite, but it is pretty far along, let's just say. But one important piece of information to note here right now is that they're no longer Casval and Artesia Daikun. They are now Eduardo and Selah Mas. Why does that name sound familiar to me?
Probably never comes up again.
Probably.
Don't. Yes.
And living with them is Jimba, who is pretty intent on teaching Eduard about his version of the history of Munzo and his father, Zeon.
And he doesn't give a fuck. Meanwhile,
Meanwhile,
Selah
is out.
Selah is out tending to the refugees, and yes, there are refugees in. I believe this was Andalusia,
Spain.
Andalusia, Spain, the southern part of Spain, and there's a bunch of refugees from, I believe, America.
I don't recall. They're refugees because of
the whole planet dying.
The whole environmental crisis the planet is facing.
So they're there and they're like, "Oh, thank you, lady." And Selah's being the saint.
Oh yeah, it's a really nice scene showing how humane she is.
And then she goes back up to the mansion that she lives in, and she lives in a nice mansion.
Oh, it is.
It is pretty much like a medieval castle, almost.
Hence why they consider her a princess of sorts.
Yeah. So she makes it home, and she's sticking around, and the maid's trying to get her to calm down.
She goes visit her brother.
She goes swimming for a bit.
She goes visit her brother, who's still being taught by Jimba.
And there's an interesting little scene. What's his name?
Tibolo?
Tibolo, yeah. Tibolo Mas? Is that his name? Yes, Tibolo Mas. And he's talking with a guest. And
not quite yet. This is later on in the movie.
No.
Yeah.
No. Not that, but...
Oh.
It's like a throwaway scene.
Oh, okay. He's talking... He's basically giving an info dump for the
audience.
Yes,
he's giving an info dump for the audience. And he says, I believe it's, been 3 years since they were adopted?
Roughly, yes.
And he's like, I thought I would never, experience the joy of fatherhood, and ever since they've come into his life, he sort of doted on them.
He knows that they're not actually his kids, but he's raising them as though they were.
Yeah. and he's grown to love them as is.
Tobolo's a pretty good character.
Tobolo's great. Tobolo's amazing. Dude's
kind of awesome.
Dude's awesome. Okay,
we won't get into
we'll
why
get to him
just
in a bit.
yet, but
We'll get to that in a little bit. But so Sayla finishes swimming and she goes to visit her brother.
Yeah.
Eduardo.
I think the English dub refers to him as Edouard. They
Yeah,
just omit the D right at the end.
Yeah. So, but you know what?
Doesn't sound right to me though.
Can we just call him Casville then, please, for the sake of?
No, his legal name is now Eduardo. Eduardo.
Fuck. All right. Edward.
Yeah, go for it.
Edward.
Edward.
We're not gonna name him Elric because that would be too much. No. So Seiya goes to visit Edward and she comes down with an illness.
Yeah, it's a pretty bad illness. It might be something that's been going around with the refugees. I forget what they call it, but she does get bedridden because of it.
I can't remember what it's called, but it's like, she must have got it from the refugees.
I don't think they meant it as a derogatory.
No, they didn't mean it as a derogatory. They're just no, I think she got it from the refugees because they do have some diseases.
So she's kind of out of it at this point in the movie.
And then some random stranger shows up in the middle of all this.
And he has a meeting with the Jimba that we are not privy to. Though we are privy to Tobolo's reaction upon learning of this visitor showing up to talk
and he is pissed.
He is absolutely livid
because as it turns out, the dude is a rival businessman
from Anaheim. Anaheim Electronics, which is important starting from Zeta Gundam onward.
Yeah.
So
it's sort of, yeah.
It ties into the earlier released media, since this is a backstory. So
yeah. So
these movies do this a lot, and I love it.
Yeah. Fuck.
Jimba.
Jimba is like, well, we've got funding from Anaheim and the weapons. We can do a counterattack.
We can stage a coup against the zombies and take back
because those bastards are renaming it into Zeon.
Munzo is now the Principality of Zeon.
I wonder if that's important.
Probably not.
Probably never gets mentioned again.
Ever. But no.
Maybe it was a filler episode, you know.
But Tobolo, he is absolutely livid. But he's not going to stop Jimba.
He's not going to...
He's just like, well...
If you're going to do it, get out of my house.
If you're going to do it, and Edward and Sayla are okay with doing it, then you can do it. But not with me.
Yeah.
I refuse to be involved with this. And this causes Jimba to have to back off because he kind of needs Tobolo's support for all this. And without it...
Because at this point, Jimba's kind of a ruined man. He has no money whatsoever left.
Yeah, he is... oh boy. He's... Woohoo!
Yeah, he's a bit insane. Yeah.
But of course, at about this point that Sayla gets sick, Edward is taking care of her.
We get little droppings of something about to happen, but we don't necessarily know what's going on. We have people sort of
hanging around, watching the estate, just kind of lingering. That night, they begin their attack.
Yeah. No,
these guys are...
These guys are from Zeon.
Yeah,
they're hired by the zombies.
Cassilia specifically, as it turns out later
Cassilia hired them.
They'd been spying... They'd been keeping tabs on the Tobolo estate, and then when Jimba's visitors earlier showed up, that was basically their cue to take out.
Yeah.
And
so they break out.
They raid the estate.
They break in and damn near kill everybody.
They kill Jimba just straight up. They damn near kill Tobolo, but he
Tobolo! Oh my God! It's amazing. So he's sitting in his room, and
he's scared. He's a large man.
Well, he's sitting in his room, and he doesn't realize what's going on.
He hears the commotion, but doesn't quite realize what's going on. Then a dude wearing a full suit of armor comes in and damn near stabs Tobolo.
And Tobolo's so Tobolo, not to dishearten him or make fun of him or anything, is a very large man, and he backs up against the window, and it breaks!
And he falls out the window, and that turns out that saves his life!
He lives! Oh!
But that's not quite the end of the situation.
No,
because
so Eduardo sees the whole thing.
He hears the commotion that's going on. He takes Sayla with him, because he's older brother, gonna protect her. It's a good older brother.
And they hide.
They find that they notice what's going on. They go to hide. Notice an area of the building that's blocked off for
construction
reasons. And Edward's like, I don't remember this being blocked off. Then the knight shows up. Chases them out onto a balcony that's still in the process of being built.
And it's a great fight because
at one point, Edward had actually grabbed a sword off of the wall.
There, I'm glad you're adopting the Edward name because it's easier. Edward grabs a sword off the wall from a coat of arms, and he starts dueling.
He starts dueling the knight, and it's not going too well. What with the guy wearing full plate armor?
But all he needs is one opening, and he got that opening.
Yeah, while the knight is trying to break the balcony while everybody's on it, so he can
kill them
intimidate
both.
The kid. Edward rushes at him, stabs him through one of the slits in the helmet, in the head. Just in the head through the slit. It's like, damn, that visual alone is like badass.
And the balcony breaks, and the knight falls to his death. But Sayla and
Edward, Sayla and Edward managed to get into a
window,
a blocked off windowsill, and kind of hold themselves. And Edward holds Sayla up so that they both don't fall.
Yeah,
it's very nice.
And it's the next morning that we see the aftermath of the carnage, and just how brutal it is. And Tobolo.
He survived.
He survived, and he's in the hospital, and he's like, "Well, goddamn, the Zeons came to kill us. What do I do?"
I should mention that Tobolo doesn't end up walking away from this completely fine.
No,
as for the rest of the movie, he actually has to walk around with a cane.
Yeah, he is.
But the fact that he survived that fall, and
he's basically crippled permanently from it.
Right, but damn.
But he survives. So, I mean, badass.
We then cut back to the Principality of Zeon, as it's now called.
It is in a great upheaval.
Yeah, and Giran is having a conversation with Cassilia where he basically reveals that he knows that Cassilia sent those spies to deal with Jimba, and now that Jimba is out of the way, they really didn't have anything to fear from Jimba in the first place, they felt. But
well, yeah, Giran is basically like, you wasted money and time killing this guy who was never going to be a problem. And you failed to kill the kids, second of all. So, I mean, continue to show that you're a failure. Which, fuck you, Giran. You get what's coming to you.
I think it's about this point we cut to another point in the Principality of Zeon. Club Luna. We've talked about this place before.
No, like, getting back, come back to the original movies, though, this backstory adds a lot of shit where Cassilia in the original series was like, oh, well, she's sort of the sister with the ulterior motives who wants to take the lead, and she just happens to be one of the lesser evils. No, she is a total prick in these origin movies. It makes her worse as a character morally than in the original series.
But overall, a better character.
But it makes her morally more black.
Yeah.
Than a morally gray character who killed her killed her brother for patricide. Which now, when you look at
Spoilers.
they've seen the movies.
Yeah.
They saw our reviews.
They heard them at least.
They heard them.
Hopefully, go. If you haven't, go listen to those. That's right.
Now, to me, it paints Cassilia as more. She just killed him out of spite instead of the patricide. She used that as an excuse to kill him.
Probably.
Which adds a better dynamic to the whole thing. Instead of it's the sister that loves her father. No, it's the sister that hates her brother so much that she's willing to do anything to one-up him.
It's just that he's in a position that she can't touch him.
Yeah, at the moment.
Because what rank is he at this point in the
He's
in
like
the movie?
He's
very high ranking.
He's the commander-in-chief, basically.
Yeah.
Whereas Giran Zabi is like the figurehead and
Dagwin Zabi.
Yes, Dagwin Zabi. I'm sorry. Whereas Dagwin Zabi is sort of the figurehead and the emperor in perpetuum.
He still has quite a bit of influence. Giran is the one who's at least trying to control things from behind the scenes.
Giran's kind of
not in a kind of power mad sort of way, but
I think the way it works is whereas Giran is commander of the military, he controls the military. Dagwin controls basically every other facet of the.
Cassilia's in the intelligence department.
Yep. And Dozel's
a soldier.
And Dozel's my man. He's my man.
Meanwhile, in another part of the Principality.
Meanwhile, back in the scene that we sort of went off on a tangent from.
Back at Club Luna, we get a
nice little song.
Haman just singing her heart out for her patrons. And she's interrupted by some very drunk Federation officers who would much rather prefer karaoke, which then ends up leading to a barroom brawl between these soldiers and Ramba, who is
all by himself.
Ever the gallant knight for his lady.
And kicks the shit out of
He beats the shit out of these drunk officers.
6 of them!
And like during all this, the guy in charge of them, the one who made the first outburst about wanting to do karaoke.
Yeah, the guy.
He's like, you guys can do this. Come on, you can. Just why is he giving you so much trouble? You're Federation soldier. Kick his ass. Oh God. Oh God, we're gonna die. It's like over the course of this brief fight, this guy goes from being in command to wanting to get the hell out of there because he's afraid.
Help me, Mommy, I'm afraid.
Because Ramba almost barehanded takes down these Federation officers.
Not quite barehanded because he's hit and he's knocked over to the side of the bar and he's like, what's the bartender's name?
Clamp.
Yeah, he's like, Clamp, get the bandages.
And instead of like bandaging Ramba up, he bandages his hands so that his hands are a bit safer from the fist fight.
Yeah, basically, so he has more punch.
Oh, at one point, one of the Feddies actually smashes a bottle over Ramba's head.
Yeah,
and that does little more than cause him to bleed.
Ramba's
a badass in this scene.
Oh man, Ramba's great in this scene. And then Ramba grabs the guy in command. And
the guy was trying to escape.
He's like, "You wanted to sing? Well, sing!" And shoves the microphone down his throat. Not metaphorically, literally. He shoves that motherfucker down the throat.
And then Dozel shows up.
Oh yeah, Dozel's here. Why? He's got a secret mission.
He's got a secret mission for Ramba that he wants to talk about.
And Ramba hates.
Of course, he does not like the Zabis at all because of what they did to his family.
Yeah.
So he's not exactly very cooperative.
Well, considering it's Dozel of all people, he probably is
has a bit more respect for him at the very least.
He probably is the most agreeable out of all of them. So Dolzel wants Ramba to come with him.
So they have a secret chat.
Yep.
And it's like, what are we going? He tells them that they're going to the spaceport. It's like, what, are we gonna take a vacation on the moon? Oh, we're not going that far. Just next door.
Whatever that means.
Means one of the other colonies.
Yeah.
We'll get back to that soon enough.
Yep.
Back on Earth, Tibolo Mass is alive.
Yep.
He gets a visitor. He's not in the hospital. He's got medical equipment at his estate.
Yeah. Okay.
So he has a couple visitors.
He's in his room.
Of course, the local authorities have shown up to investigate the raid the previous night.
Yep.
And they're about to stop a guy who's entering the estate because ongoing investigation. But then they recognize who the man is, and I don't remember his name offhand, but his last name is Yashima.
I don't know if that's important or not.
Probably not. Anyway, he and the person with him go and have a conversation with Tibolo.
Nobody important. No.
And Yashima basically convinces Tibolo to move to Texas.
Yeah, he basically says, "Hey, you know it's unsafe here. Why don't you move to Texas?" Oh my God! Thank you, thank you.
I feel I should mention right now that when we say move to Texas, we don't mean Texas, the United States. We mean Texas. Side 4.
You know.
The lounge.
Wait a minute. No!
I have more flashbacks of that because I've actually watched the show where a bit more happens. So, but that'll become important in the original series.
That Texas.
Yeah. And Tibolo, he agrees to move out there with his kids. But he is a bit interested to know who the person that Yashima is with, so Yashima introduces his daughter, Mirai Yashima.
Not important.
Probably not.
I think she's a filler character, only shows up...
Probably. I've never heard of her before, ever.
I think she only shows up in the first episode of the original series. And
I don't even think that. I think she just...
I think it's just like a cameo, you know? One of those... Yeah.
Most of the time when we're, for the record, you guys, most of the time when we make these kind of comments, we're being completely facetious, and we know that how important these characters are.
She was important.
She was the goddamn helmsman.
I'm kidding,
yeah.
motherfucker.
Yeah.
Well, who needs a helmsman except when their name is Sulu?
Good point.
Yeah. Didn't think about that.
Of course, I'm not a sea captain, so I wouldn't know, actually. Anyway, as Yashima and his daughter are leaving, Mirai actually...
I thought for a second you were about to say, but I'm not a Jedi or anything.
I was actually trying to remember what the proper term to use was. I don't think I was going to go with Jedi, though. But,
Federation captain, you mean?
Anyway... As Yashima and his daughter are leaving, Mirai actually spots the kids up in the estate, up in the window.
Edward and
Sayla. And I guess it's at this point we kind of learn that at the very least Mirai wasn't aware of these two kids existing.
Yeah.
So she's a bit surprised by it, but
she's like, "Oh, these kids must have existed." So, anyways, back in good old...
Back up in space.
Back in Spaceland.
Ramba and Dozel arrive at an under-construction colony, where we are then introduced to another soldier in the Zeon army that is slowly growing.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember which one he is. I think it's Gaia.
I think it was Gaia. Doesn't particularly matter.
I mean, it kind of does, especially if you've seen the original series, but for those of you who don't know, Gaia was partnered with two other guys, Ortega and Mash, who are also here. And they were collectively known as the Black Tri-Stars for good reason. But we're not going to talk about that quite yet. because while Gaia is here and Ortega is also present, they're wondering where MASH is, and turns out MASH is
piloting something.
Something.
We don't know how to describe it.
So we'll just come out and call it by name. A mobile worker. That's what they call it.
I wonder if that's important.
It will be, as I will soon explain.
You sure?
Also present is one of the gun tanks that appeared in the previous movie. You know, the one that Casville had piloted, that tank thing.
No, not the beautiful motherfucker from the original series. Although I wish they had that design, because that is a beautiful design. I will... Don't at me. I will fight to the death for that.
I will at you with all the love and respect you deserve for that.
Okay, good. But nothing beats the original Gundam design. Nothing. Not even...
What's a Gundam?
I don't know what a Gundam is. It's not like it's the title of the series or anything.
I've never heard of it. It's probably like a throwaway word like Bleach or something. Anyway.
Why is that series named Bleach?
I have no clue, and maybe it got explained at some point in the manga. I'm not reading that.
I got a theory why, because every time you read it, it's like putting bleach in your eyes.
Apparently it was a pretty good series, though. But, we're getting off topic. So anyway... The third member of the Black Tri-Stars is in what is called a mobile worker. And for anybody who has seen the original series, you might recognize that this looks very similar to the Zaku's. And you wouldn't be wrong, because
it has a distinct resemblance.
This is the first mobile suit.
So they test it out, and it long story short, it kicks ass.
It kicks ass. It demolishes the gun tank, but
so then they put
unfortunately it's got like hardwired electronics, so it ends up breaking the cables during its attack on the gun tank.
Yeah,
which is a bit of a downside, so it's not quite what they want, what they're hoping it for, but yeah.
So they tested against, the gun tank, whatever. Yeah, that's fine, it works. So then they decide, what if Jimba.
Yeah, later on in the movie, they end up constructing a second mobile worker for Jimba to pilot, and he and one of the Black Tri-Stars just go at it in their mobile workers, and
they nearly kill each other.
Damn near. It's only because Dozel intervenes and calls off and brings an end to the fight that the two don't kill each other. And Jimba for his effort, he calls out the fact that the control unit for the cockpit for the mobile worker is like right on the damn thing's chest. It's practically a death trap.
Yeah. And
Dozel's like, all right,
fair enough.
We'll take that into consideration for the next model.
Yeah, fair enough. So Jimba is basically under Dozel's thumb now at this point.
Kind of, but he kind of does it willingly. Yeah. Now, during all this, Haman Crowley, she's because of Ramba's. I'm trying to think of the word. Because Ramba is playing nice with Dozel, she's allowed to go visit Estrella, who is still in the tower, where we learn that Roselica, who, according to the opening narration for this second movie, was Zeon Daikun's first wife, which...
What?
It would have been a nice explanation.
Yeah,
in the first movie.
That's actually something I wanted to touch on, and I didn't realize that we were at this point in the movie. No, in the first movie, it gives no. Oop, sorry, that's me hitting the mic angrily. No.
Explanation for who this character is.
No hint. It gives us no hint.
All we really know is that she had was at least a close friend of
now the context clues make sense when she was talking about how she was angry because she couldn't give kids.
Turns out she was Zeon's first wife.
Which is like, why did you marry her? What the fuck?
We also learned that she's dead now, so I guess she doesn't factor into anything later on in the franchise. Again, as far as I know.
She is literally such a non-factor in these two movies.
Like, she's really only there to be the person who owns the tower that Artesia is locked up in. So she isn't it with her her children.
Yeah.
And Artesia is not doing very well. You can just tell by looking at her.
She's
sick.
She's gone gray, and her jawline, her cheeks have. She's emaciated.
Yeah.
She's basically emaciated.
And it's not from, like, starvation or dehydration or something. It's quite,
illness.
Quite simply stated as being an illness. And she is dying.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's go to Texas.
Well, no, we've got to go to the airport first, or the spaceport. Don't you remember? It's kind of an...
Oh, right! We do have to go to the spaceport before we get to Texas.
Yeah.
Because this is where Sayla actually spots a kid playing with his toy, and this kid's dad is upset that the kid is playing with this quite loud and obnoxious and a bit out of control toy in the airport. The father is upset.
In the spaceport. This father's like, hey... Yeah, put it away. Come on, put it away. We got it.
What did he call the kids again? I can't remember. Was it?
Come on, Amuro.
I don't think that's what it was. I think it was something more like Amuro, but I could be wrong.
Amuro. I don't.
Probably just a throwaway character that we'll never have to hear about ever again.
Probably not important
for the rest of the entire franchise.
Yeah, in my personal opinion, it's not like this kid grows up to be the single greatest Gundam pilot of all time. That would be
your opinion?
And that would be ridiculous. No!
Obviously not.
No.
Probably just a throwaway.
How long can we keep this up?
I already explained to the audience what we're doing with these.
How long can we piss off the fans? Let's go for 2 hours. I'm kidding.
So anyway... The Mass family arrives at Texas, and we're introduced to the Aznables, who run like a restaurant bar in one of the Texas cities,
and they're letting them live at one of the cabins.
Yeah, the Aznables know who Tibolo and the kids really are. So they're doing this. They don't let their son know.
Yeah.
More on that in a little bit. But first, horseback riding. With Edward and Sayla.
This scene.
He hates this scene. I love this scene.
I don't hate it. It's just a very, in my opinion, poorly animated scene. Mostly, and what I mean by poorly animated is, goddamn that poor horse.
That Shetland pony that Sayla's riding.
Goddamn.
I'm pretty sure that was an intentional design choice.
Goddamn that poor fucking pony. You know what? It looks
that is an ugly pony.
You know what it looks like? It looked like one of the horses from West of Loathing.
I don't even know what that is.
It is an RPG game set in the West that is a complete parody of RPG games. And there's four horse types. There's a regular horse, there's a ghost horse, there's a black horse that's always scared, and then there's a horse that has seen the abyss and knows horrors of the world, so his eyes bug out and that's what this horse reminded me. That's what this horse reminded me of.
So anyway, Edward and Sayla, I keep wanting to call her Artesia, but her legal name now is Sayla. Edward and Sayla are out riding horses, and Sayla does not know how to control her horse, like, at all, and Edward only has a bit better control. So he ends up riding off, and then Sayla notices him riding some more, but now he's suddenly a lot better, and wearing different clothes. And
has a different eye color.
Yeah, this not her brother shows up, comes up to talk with her. She notices how uncanny of a resemblance this boy has to Edward. The only distinction being the color of their eyes, with Edward having blue eyes, as stated in the title of the previous movie, and this new boy having red eyes. And this boy introduces himself as Shar Aznable, the son of the Aznables, who are taking the masses in.
And this is what I hate about this scene. For a platitude of reasons. First off, you make a fucking clone of the guy. Are you fucking kidding me? That is...
For context, Shar Aznable is the name that Casval Daikun, now known as Edward Mass, eventually ends up taking during the course of the Mobile Suit Gundam franchise, among his numerous other names that he goes under.
Yeah.
And that's a whole other kettle of fish, but...
Lieutenant Quattro. What's next?
Quattro Bagino, which, according to some romanizations of that name, is spelled with a V. Yeah, good luck wearing a coat with that name on out in public. There is one, by the way. Good night, folks. No. But,
No, I'm sorry, I kind of zoned out thinking about that, and I just didn't want to say anything. I just wanted to retain the pure awkwardness of the moment. But I hate... First off, you fucking clone the guy. That's a stupid... number one, that's a stupid reason right there. You don't just clone a guy and say, hey, this is the name that he took, because it's a guy that looks exactly like him, instead of just like an alias. It
will make sense in the next movie. Trust me.
Oh, okay.
You're just going to have to wait for this next movie, which won't be until the next movie we cover, but trust me, it will make sense.
Oh, okay. Well, fuck. I don't know when we're going to watch the next movie. I mean, after all, we got to watch a movie where we find God. Second...
Anime was a mistake.
Anime was a mistake. Hey.
Anyway, go on with your little mini rant.
I think it, and second of all, having them know they meet each other, and they become friends. Having them,
yeah. When Edward and Shar meet face to face, like immediately afterwards, there's like a bit of a tense moment where Sayla's like, "Oh, what's gonna happen?" The two just kind of stare each other down and then high five.
Which is weird.
I like that.
That's teen relationships. All can be settled with just a high five.
Unfortunately, we're adults, so it backfires. I fucking hate you! Get the fuck out of my house! Anyway.
I'm colorblind, kid. So, okay, a little side rant here. Yeah, they meet each other, that blah, 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 but a little side rant. The other day, I finally found out what the I'm colorblind kid joke is all about. And I couldn't stop laughing because I was like, oh, that's what they mean. Goddamn. Popsicle commercials were weird back then.
Yep.
So anyway, they meet each other. I think this is sort of a dumb idea. I'm not a fan of it. And third off, it's sort of just a slapdash way to introduce the Shar Aznable name. Just all the factors put into it. It just gives me a sour taste in my mouth.
I, on the other hand, absolutely love this. I think it's a pretty good way of helping to introduce...
I mean, if he looked similar, I would have been fine. But he looked exactly the same, except for the eye color. What the fuck? I'm sure... Now that I think about it, this is my prediction, my theory, and you don't say anything. My theory is, the reason they do this is because they kill off Shar in the next movie, and they mistake him for Edward. That's my theory I'm going with.
You're completely wrong.
Okay.
You are completely wrong.
Moving
on.
Am I?
You are completely wrong.
Oh no. Oh no!
Anyway, moving on. We'll cover that when we get to the next movie. Trust me.
I don't know how to move on.
Do you want to just watch the next origin movie first before moving on to God?
Yeah. No, we gotta see God.
Okay. All right. I tried to warn you.
Look,
So,
God's more important than this problem here. We gotta know the meaning of life.
Well, as it turns out, Char is attending a high school in the central colony of Laum.
Yep.
Side 4, Laum. That's a strangely familiar name. I wonder why that's...
I don't know.
Maybe
it'll come back later. Moving on.
Anyway, turns out Char is attending a high school in the central colony, but he has submitted an application to the Zeon Military Academy.
Yeah, Char did.
Yep.
So he's dropping out of school.
Yeah, as we end up learning.
As soon as Edward is going into school. And the reason he's going into school...
We actually get a couple nice scenes after this. I think this part was interrupted by the mobile worker fight.
Yeah.
Between Ramba and...
doesn't matter the order of events. All that matters are the events.
Right. So,
unless it's shit like forgetting about what's-her-name's death.
Brazilica?
Yeah. No, not Was it Brazilica? In the third Mobile Suit Gundam movie?
Oh, who's that? Matilda's?
I think that's her name. No. The Indian chick.
Oh, Lala?
Yeah.
Yeah, nobody forgets about that.
Except we did.
Apparently.
Because we skipped over that and went right to the big Zam fight.
Pretty sure she dies after the big Zam.
Either that or we completely missed it and got to the big battle. I don't know.
I think that's maybe what happened.
We got we got the order of events out of place.
Which isn't the first time on this channel.
And it's actually
that might have been.
It was. Oh no.
Oh no, the space-time continuum is collapsing in upon itself, and it's centered completely around this microphone. Anyway, Tobolo ends up having to go meet with the headmaster of the school that Sayla and Edward are attending.
And the guy basically...
The guy tries to convince Tobolo to let them... advance Edward up a grade, because he's just doing so well in his classes. And Tobolo smells bullshit, and it's like, what's really going on? And the headmaster's like,
dude,
honest.
I'm just gonna be honest, dude. He scares the shit out of me. And Tobolo's like, what?
Tobolo gets pissed at this.
How dare you say that about my son? I'll have your head for this. You're fired.
As he's walking out of this school, he's talking with Mr. Aznable and basically demanding that this guy be fired for the things that he said about
Vince McMahon on this guy's head. Dude wants him fired. Despicable.
Meanwhile, at the bar and restaurant that the Aznables run, Edward and Sayla are
chilling
out,
and
Edward
notices a
dude just kind of watching them, and he goes to confront the guy. Takes the man's beer and pours it on the guy's head, and we get the second bar fight in the movie.
Woo! All right, let's drink.
Best movie ever.
10 out of 10. Would bar fight again.
Oh, and this bar fight escalates, and Edward just dominates the fight, kicking the guy out of the restaurant.
This guy gets the utter shit kicked out of him.
Breaks a railing. The dude tries to grab a piece of the railing with some nails on it and attack Edward with it, and Edward just disarms him and almost uses the board on the guy. But then Sayla's like, "Stop it!
I hate when you do this." And Edward's like, "Okay, fine, I'll stop."
Stop. Also, I think we forgot to mention that Estrella died.
Oh yeah.
At some point. And Edward was the one who had to deliver the news to Sayla, who is in the middle of writing a letter to her mother.
Which, of the letters that were written and delivered, she
Apparently
never...
they weren't.
That-
Estrella mentions that she had been kept expecting to hear from Sayla and Edward, but
And
she
never heard
got
from
any
them.
letters from them. And we, the audience, know that Sayla's been writing them. So
Because it's been sort of the focus of the entire fucking movie.
it's kind of why it's called Artesia's Sorrow. Because,
So yeah.
So that's some devastating news.
So yes, Sayla's sort of broken.
A bit at this point, but
And Tobolo it feels helpless. He can't do anything.
and the best they can do is to construct a grave marker for her with a different name. And
Not even a name. It just says here lie. Here.
no, they give the headstone a different name.
No, they don't. From what I remember, all it says is
They couldn't refer to her by name.
well, no. What they say is here lies the mother of Edward and Sayla.
No, I think it's here lies such and such mother of Edward and Salem Mass. I'm pretty confident that's what they do. I don't remember the name, but I'm pretty confident they use a different name.
Rewatch the movie, and when the next review comes up, we'll get our answer.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll probably forget about this entire thing. But
Write it in your notes.
anyway,
I'm serious.
you're right there on the floor.
Okay.
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 But anyway, after the second bar fight of the movie, we get a scene in which this is when we learn that Tobolo is legitimately considering having Edward go to the Central High School at Central Colony.
Yeah.
Colony Central or whatever.
So they're celebrating Char's.
But it's also at this point that Tobolo learns that Char got accepted into the military academy.
So he dropped out of high school, as we mentioned. So they're having a little celebration.
The reason why that gets revealed is because Tobolo is talking with Mr. Aznable.
Yeah.
And basically asking if he thinks it would be okay to have Edward attend the same high school as Char. It's at this point that Mr. Aznable reveals, oh, Char got accepted. I mean, his parents are none too happy about it because they know what's all going on.
It'll get revealed why.
They're none too happy about this bit of news. So, yeah. So that's how Tobolo finds out that Char won't.
And they have a celebration for him.
Yeah, and
Char just doesn't know when to shut the fuck up.
He has a terrible time reading the room. It doesn't help that he is completely oblivious to who's actually in his presence.
Yeah.
Because he just starts extolling the graces of the Principality of Zeon and the teachings of Zeon Daikun in front of his kids.
Oh my god, he's such a great guy. His teachings are so true. We should declare independence.
We should rebel against the Federation. They're trying to control space noids. We'll totally get new types and all that jazz.
And
he's the only one doing this.
in the words of the great Queen Victoria, we are not amused. And nobody responds to him, basically.
Pretty much.
Other than his dad, who's just
They
like...
just kind of let him go on because...
And his dad's just like, shut the fuck up. Just shut the fuck up. God damn it. You're an embarrassment to this family.
And then Sayla goes to check on her cat, Lucifer.
Oh, no.
Boy.
No, not touching this.
So I guess I gotta mention the fact that Lucifer's dead now.
Oh,
So,
oh, great.
yeah.
We
Yeah,
touched
another-
on that topic.
So,
we could
yeah.
have just left well enough alone.
Could have, but we kind of had to because it gets to one of the most important scenes in the movie, and that is Sayla mourning not only the loss of her mother, but now her pet cat. And then learning from her own brother that he's going to go. He's going to go leave to attend the high school in Central Colony. He's leaving her.
Oh, god damn it.
And this is where the movie ends.
This is where the movie ends. Where Sayla saying, I lost Mom, and I lost Lucifer. Now I'm losing you. What the fuck, guys? Come on!
It is called Artesia Sorrow.
You motherfucker. If only she had known.
So yeah.
If only she had known that's what the movie's title was. She could have prevented all of this.
Not really, because, Estrella died completely beyond her capacity to help.
She could have signed up
Then
to not
Lucifer
be in
just
this.
died.
She could have just signed up not to be in this movie.
Unfortunately, she got top billing. So
Shit.
Shanna was contractually...
Shit! She did get top billing, didn't she? Fuck.
Yeah, overall, this movie is not as good as the first movie, but it's still a good movie.
I'd say this movie's like a 6 or a 7. It's 6.5, actually.
I'd give it an 8.
I'll give it a 6.5. It drags in places, and it's not for me. It's not
It's mostly the Char thing, isn't it?
Yeah, it's mostly the Char thing that really drags it down.
That's fair.
But it's not just the Char thing. It's just, there's 2 bar fights, which ups it 2 spots. But then the Char thing drops it down half a grade, and then the other half is that it drags in places when it honestly shouldn't. And it's mostly an info dump movie.
Kinda. It kind of has to do
It is Soldiers of Sorrow to the Origin series.
Kind of. It's kind of a section that you kind of need in order to understand some of the other stuff that ends up happening.
But Soldiers of Sorrow had Rumble Roll at its height. And that instantly makes it better. Because you know what?
I'm not so sure. I mean, you still haven't watched the other Origin movies.
Because you know what? No, it's Rumble Roll at its glory.
He has a glorious death, I will admit.
Yes. I don't want to mention the death because I've spoiled enough of those movies already. What with patricide and murder and
Lala.
Look how
Big Zam.
Look how far we've come. Who would have seen this coming? Not I.
I probably did.
Oh.
I mean, to be fair, I was probably going to have you watch the Origin movies at some point after watching the original trilogy. Just kind of a question of when.
Well, should have watched that before we watched those fucking...
In my defense!
Those fucking Zeta movies.
In my defense, I had not seen any of the Zeta movies at that point.
Defense
and I did not... I didn't know what I was getting into. I did not know how bad that movie was.
Yeah, no, those movies aren't good, and I've seen the letterbox reviews of them, and they agree it's not good.
Yeah, stick to watching the TV show. But that's a topic for another time when we eventually get back to the second Zeta movie, but whenever that'll be. Probably after we get to that point in the TV series so that we have a point of comparison. But,
yeah.
So yeah, that was Mobile Suit Gundam The Origin 2. Artesia's Sorrow.
Yeah, Sailor's Sorrow, actually, that probably would have rolled off the tongue better.
Sailor's Sorrow, yeah, but they were going with her actual name.
But whatever. So yeah, next movie that we're doing,
we're gonna go find God. Wish us luck.
We're gonna ask him what he needs with a spaceship, though.
I'm gonna go ask him if he wants me to pick up anything at the grocery store since I'm going. See if he needs any more nacho cheese or anything.
I thought they have English fountains of nacho cheese in heaven.
Yeah, but he's on vacation.
Oh, he's on staycation. Okay. Right,
I said vacation.
Same difference. I mean, he goes anywhere he pleases. Everywhere's his home.
No, not here. He's not allowed in here. Not since the incident.
Oh, yeah, we don't talk about that. This is my recycled balls.
I'm ProtoMet.
Have a good one.